this is Animat, and welcome back to the Muppet Vlog. Now this time we're going to be looking into the 21st episode of The Muppet Show, which features Twiggy. Now some of you might be wondering, is that really her name? Is it just Twiggy? Well, not necessarily, but that's what people call her, is just Twiggy. And the reason why she got that name is because back in the 60s, she was considered one of the most prominent teenage models during that decade. And because of her skinny body, that's why she is called Twiggy. Now, after her modeling career when the 70s came along, she decided to move on and explore more of her boundaries in the entertainment industry, where she became an actress of stage, of television, and of film. In which one of the movies that she was in, The Boyfriend, she actually won 2 Golden Globes for Best Actress and also for Best Newcomer, which apparently that was a category during that time. Other than that, she has also wrote some books, she has made some CDs where she is also a singer. There isn't really stuff that you'd mostly know, but the only one that sounds familiar is that at one point she actually was a judge on America's Next Top Model. And other than that, now, going into the episode of The Muppet Show, this is actually quite fascinating. I knew this episode would come up, but I didn't know when. But I guess it came out sooner than I probably expect. And the reason why I say that is because this is the episode that actually features the Phantom of the Muppet Show. Technically, this would be the full-on introduction of Uncle Deadly. And the thing is, with the whole Phantom of the Muppet Show bit, this is of course like a little bit of a parody of the Phantom of the Opera, where, you know, the Phantom would be haunting around the entire stage and, you know, the entire backstage as well. But then, like, when you do finally see the Phantom, like, he explains his motives. He was once a singer on stage, but he vows never to act, like, pretty much never to perform again, and no one else should. And pretty much going around haunting the stage, but he only appears right about the end, and everyone else before it was kind of pretty much building up to it, where they're all freaking out and all scared that the Phantom of the Muppet Show would appear somewhere. And with that said, it's kind of weird that it's now that they would go and introduce Uncle Deadly, because beforehand, he was already introduced in the Vincent Price episode. Now, some of you might say that, oh, well, like, considering that I'm going in the order of the DVDs, and what the DVD is going is by the order of, like, when it was made through production, maybe this episode aired before the Vincent Price one. That's actually not the case. In fact, the Vincent Price episode was actually released just before the Twiggy episode. So it's kind of weird that you see Uncle Deadly appearing first in the Vincent Price episode in that little sketch with Vincent Price at the beginning, and then also at the end with You've Got a Friend, and then suddenly he comes in here with a full introduction and everything. It was kind of weird. It's kind of weird considering, like, you know about the history of Uncle Deadly, and then afterwards he would never be used again until much later with the 2011 Muppets, and then he is pretty much a prominent Muppet in the 2015 Muppet series. But other than that, like, it's kind of weird that he started off as this one-off note with this episode. That's kind of more of the full introduction to who he is. In fact, I think this is actually the first episode where he's actually called Uncle Deadly. Like, the whole Phantom of the Muppet Show bit, that's pretty much thrown out the window, but now, like, he is Uncle Deadly. And there are a few traits that Uncle Deadly has that we still see in him today. Like, he is still, like, the flamboyant master thespian that he is. It's just that he kind of let go of his fear and his scariness and his threatening tactics. Like, he kind of dropped that. Like, in fact, I think he kind of dropped it during the 2011 Muppets. That's where he pretty much decided, okay, I'm gonna try it, and then he decided, you know what, I'm gonna join the Muppets. That's basically it. Other than that, though, with the rest of the episode, like, it's more standard. I'm not gonna say that it's a bad episode, but there really isn't anything that's worth remembering. But I will say that when it comes to Twiggy, there are some interesting things that I've noticed that what they used with her, I've never seen it done with any of the other special guests. In fact, In My Life is probably the most interesting sketch of them all, outside of the whole bit with the Phantom of the Muppet Show, because it starts out like what seems like your typical bit with like your typical Muppet Show bit where like they joke around and pretend to be like they're in a press and they're interviewing Twiggy. But then suddenly she would go and sing this sweet little song of In My Life, and as she's singing it, we see like photographs of her previous career, like all the stuff that happened beforehand, like all her modeling career, some parts of her personal life. Like we see kind of a look back of Twiggy's accomplishments, and that's kind of interesting because like, sure, Kermit would go and mention some of the stuff that the special guest has previously done, but we've never seen, like, photographic evidence that we've seen inside the show itself. So it's kind of interesting to see this look back into Twiggy, and honestly, it does make it pretty interesting for someone who wants to be introduced to Twiggy. Like, if you don't know who she is, then you might as well check that little bit of In My Life, and then you'll have a full understanding. Not only that she was a model, but also, like, she can act, and also she is a singer, since she is singing In My Life. Other than that, there are some other weird bits as well with her in it. Another weird one that they haven't done also, that, like, it's only this that they've done, is that they decided to reenact an entire poem, which they decided to go with The King's Breakfast by A.A. Milne. And honestly, maybe it's just me because I don't really understand poems, but I feel like the entire thing, like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe poems should have, like, there should be a message into it, but I feel like with The King's Breakfast, all it says that, like, the king is not a fussy man, but he wants to have butter in his bread. That's all that I got, which, honestly, I don't get it. Like, I understand, like, they wanted, like, this whole bit thing, it could have potential to reenact little stories, like little fairy tale stories and stuff like that. I know that Jim Henson has previously done that with some of his earlier works before the Muppet Show, but I'm surprised that they didn't continue this on with inside the show itself. I could see that it could have potential, but I don't know why they didn't go with it anyways. But other than that, like, most of the other stuff, like the At the Dance bit, I'm not usually a fan of it, but I will say that this one, like, it has some pretty good jokes. There are some moments that I do laugh at. And the one thing I will say is that I'm surprised that this is the one where you actually go and see Kermit's worst girlfriend, like, but, like, even before Miss Piggy. Like, if you thought Denise was bad, wait till you see freaking Mary Louise. But yeah, other than that, like, the sketches are not really that memorable. Like, maybe the Venda face is actually, it was quite funny. That was a cute little bit, but other than that, there really isn't much that is worth remembering. So overall, I would say that it's interesting, but it's not really that interesting at the same time. Like, as an episode itself, it's kind of standard. It's decent, I guess. Like, there are some cute little bits that do come up, but there really isn't much worth that's remembering. Okay, well, actually, scratch that. There is that one little number that I do remember. It's actually, there's one that's called Dance, and that's probably one of the most 70s Muppet bits that they have ever done, because it's like a bunch of, like, you know those feathered pythons that you see those fashionistas wear, like, kind of as a scarf, but it's all made of feathers and stuff, but it's like this 70s number, but it's sung by this big python feather thing that has teeth, basically. And it's weird, but yeah, it's best described as 70s Muppets. But yeah, with that said, like, going back to the overall bit, the episode is rather standard. Like, what you see is kind of the regular things that you would find in the Muppet Show, but there really isn't a lot worth remembering. But it is kind of interesting to see the different ways that they use the special guest star, not in terms of her performance, but all the different things and the different style of the entire setting of what they want to do with the number. That is quite interesting. And also to see what's supposed to be the origins of Uncle Deadly, even though he already made an appearance in a previous episode of The Muppet Show, but it is quite fascinating to see how he first appeared in this one. But yeah, you know, it's worth checking out, I would say, but don't put your hopes a little too high for it. There's just going to be some parts that are kind of interesting to see and to get from. But anyways, that's pretty much going to be it for this week, so I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and maybe we are going to check out another episode that hopefully will have a lot more memorability than this. So with that said, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes!